is the North End. This is the North End.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the North End. My name's Aizaz, and I'm here to do the post-match reaction. 5 things we learned from Liverpool's performance, Liverpool's defeat yesterday versus Arsenal at the Emirates. Arsenal 3, Liverpool 1. Before we get started, please like, subscribe, all the good stuff below, and feel free to comment. But without further ado, I'm going to get into my analysis of yesterday's game. So first things first, first thing we learned is Liverpool are as resilient as ever. And the reason I say that is because I genuinely believe that the Emirates is the second hardest place to go in the Premier League at the moment. And in the first half, we did not play well. I actually think that 1-0 probably would have flattered us. 1-0 down would have flattered us, just based on the performance, not necessarily the chances, but just based on the performance. I think Arsenal were worth going into the break in the lead. And yet, Liverpool once again showed the resilience to come back by hook or by crook and score that goal that they did to take it into 1-1. And at that point, I was buzzing, particularly because of how we played. Now, look, Liverpool weren't able to build on that, but at the same time, I can't downplay how important it is to have that much mental fortitude to go behind against big teams at their ground when not playing well and still be able to come back. So the first thing I learned is a positive. Most of these things are not going to be positive, but I'm going to start on a positive and say the resilience that Liverpool showed was once again encouraging because we are not going to have a harder game on paper than yesterday. Yes, Manchester City is still due to come to Anfield. We'll talk about that shortly. However, as far as fixtures on paper are concerned, that was the hardest one. And still, to play badly and show resilience was actually something I was really happy with and really proud of. Number 2, squad depth is finally catching up with Liverpool. Now, I am someone who thinks that, and this has been a debate all season in the North End, but I am someone who thinks that if you are trying to be successful, you have to just play the season for what it is, for better and for worse. And on the worst, obviously, injuries and suspensions catch up with teams, and that's kind of why you're supposed to build your squad in the first place. And for the most part, Liverpool have been able to just get on with it. The biggest example is our star player, our star striker, Mohamed Salah, has been away since January 1st fixture against Newcastle, which was supposed to be a December fixture. So basically, our fixtures in January and so far in February, Mo Salah has not been a part of, and yet we haven't missed a beat. However, back to point 1, referencing the fact that that was a very hard game, that might have been a step too far because as well as Mo, we were also missing Endo, Szoboszlai, Connor Bradley, who has been in a lot of good form recently. Trent and Robbo came back kind of rusty. So all in all, Liverpool, I think they had the squad depth to pick 3 points up yesterday in 36 other games, maybe 34, 35. But yesterday, there was no way with a thinner squad that I don't think that we could have done too much better than we did in certain patches of the game. So squad depth is catching up with Liverpool. We now need to start getting some of these players fit and also start to get a bit more consistency with those people as well. The clearest example is Dominic Szoboszlai. He had a great start to the season, tailed off a slight bit on the form, and then he got injured, and then he came back against Chelsea, and then he was away again yesterday. So hopefully people start to get fit now. Obviously, Manchester City have had to deal with this too. Arsenal have had their injury problems. All teams have got their injury problems. So I'm not using injury as a reason we lost yesterday. Absolutely not. I'm just saying one of the 5 things I learned is we can't go to the Emirates without some of our key players and be able to pull that off. So that's something that I think was worth making a point. Number 3, the disciplinary issues. Now, I don't want to get into the referee. There is a crazy stat going on about Anthony Taylor and Liverpool's propensity to lose games, which we don't do much at all. Obviously, this is our second game yesterday. But notwithstanding, I think Liverpool lost their heads a little bit, namely Ibu Konate. And I don't necessarily think that that was playing with your head for the most part. So the third thing I learned was Liverpool suddenly became prone to disciplinary issues when the chips were against us. If this is a one-off, this is a moot point, but I do want to raise it from yesterday because this can't become a habit. Liverpool lost a few players earlier at the start of the season too, and although we won most of those games, we were making it really difficult on ourselves in those moments. So, something worth noting yesterday was silly yellow cards, the totting up of a red card. I do want to talk about the consistency of some of the decisions, particularly how some people were booked and others weren't. But again, not really wanting to enter that mindset or mind frame. I think the Liverpool need to push for the title, especially because it's Jurgen Klopp's last season with no excuses. It's been my motto from the start, so I'm just going to keep moving forward. The fourth thing we learned yesterday was even Liverpool's giants, namely Virgil van Dijk and Allison, are susceptible to defensive lapses. And that obviously is going to be very encouraging for teams because, for the most part, particularly if you look at our goals against record, we've been pretty, um, pretty strong at the back this season. For some reason, yesterday it all seemed to come down at the same time, and in fact, in the same move. So there's two major errors yesterday. Online, a lot of the blame has been towards Allison mainly. And the funny thing is, that just kind of shows that how many of these armchair pundits and analysts have never played the game of football, because even at schoolboy level, you can never let the ball bounce. You can never let the ball bounce. So the one-off mistake is Virgil van Dijk's. He's been a colossus this season, so I'm not going to have a go at our captain, but it's his mistake. And then on top of that, Alison Becker, who I widely regard as the best goalkeeper in the world, then also makes a mistake on the back of it on the same move. It's uncanny. Crazily enough, Allison made a couple of amazing saves yesterday, including the first shot from the chance that ultimately gave Bukayo Saka a tap in yesterday. And two of their goals yesterday, they didn't have to beat Allison Becker, which again, it's not that easy to do, and we made it really difficult on ourselves, easier for Arsenal, but they probably deserved it anyway. Well, they did deserve it. Why am I even saying probably? They deserved it anyway, so it's all good. And the fifth point that I want to raise yesterday is Liverpool. I'm happy with the fact that Liverpool got this defeat when they didn't deserve to win the game. And the reason why that's important is because I actually think that we can correct this easily. We've got a couple of fixtures coming up now that on paper we should be winning. The second one, which is Brentford away in almost 2 weeks' time, is a difficult game. I don't want to disrespect that one. But next weekend at Anfield, we've got Burnley at home, and we should be winning that game. Now, if yesterday we play a fantastic game and somehow come out losers because of reasons that weren't our own doing, that's a lot harder to box up and move to the side than yesterday's defeat. And I actually think, in hindsight, that is a really important thing to know about yesterday's game, that Liverpool got what they deserved yesterday, whether it came from mistakes or not, whether squad depth, etc., added to it. All of those things are true. But at the end of the day, over the 90, 95, 100 minutes yesterday, Liverpool didn't deserve to win. If we had won, it would have been a smash and grab. If we had drawn, we probably would have nicked a point. But at the same time, we didn't do enough yesterday to win the game, and we lost. And I can live with that. I actually think we can move forward from that rather than a win that we should have had on paper and somehow we didn't. That would be a lot tougher to process. And I'm going to give you a bonus one, which I guess is number 6. What we learned yesterday is Liverpool now need to beat Manchester City at home. And that's something I wanted to avoid. Obviously, it would have been amazing to have a free hit where we could draw, or even Man City could beat us and we could still be ahead in the title race. But now that game on March the 9th has a lot of jeopardy. The caveat to this, which is a huge thing for Liverpool, is the fact that yesterday's win means that potentially Arsenal are still in the title race when Arsenal plays Manchester City on March the 30th. And that's a really important game as well. And that's also really important for us. So for our title challenge, I think I just gave you 1.5 bonuses. What we learned yesterday was not just that now we have to beat Man City, but yesterday's win keeps Arsenal in the title challenge and also means that now there's some real depth to their game as it stands at the moment. Things can change in the next 7, 8 weeks, but as it stands at the moment, there's a lot of there's a lot riding on that game on March the 30th. And I personally am here for it. If there's one positive, real positive I can take from yesterday, it's that fact. Anyway, that's all she wrote. That's for my analysis from yesterday's game. You know what to do. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, keep it locked. We're trying to get a show organized this week as well. But otherwise, that's all for now. All the best.
This is the North End.